I know we were always told, don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, we've always been told some basic lessons that we just ignore, right? And I think the don't judge the outside appearance thing just wasn't quite as feasible with video games back in the 80s and 90s as it is today. I mean, back then you had to rely on face-to-face word of mouth, maybe magazine reviews, stuff like that. You couldn't just walk into a store, see a game, bust out your phone and Google it to see what people were saying about it. So I really think having amazing cover art was kind of important at the time to entice people, you know? But there were so many fails back then. Bad box art has not gone away, but it is easier to find out if a game is worth your time nowadays than it once was. A lot of games that had bad box art in North America had way better box art in Japan. It's like at the time companies in the US thought we would be grossed out by the Japanese art or something. I don't know, it's just weird. A lot of companies strayed away from the aesthetic and gave us some generic-ass looking covers to games. With it being so important to entice a customer to buy something without the easy access to information, a lot of times this caused awesome games to be overlooked, sent off into obscurity, right? And one of the most interesting and unique Game Boy games of all time seems to have suffered this fate to some degree. Avenging was released in the USA on the Game Boy in 1992. It was a port of an arcade game. The US box art wasn't the worst box art in the world, in my opinion, but it was a little generic. Was this game about gangsters? Were you playing a Dick Tracy type character? What is it, you know? The game's name and the box art just didn't really mesh well together, I think. So, I think a lot of people at the time just kind of overlooked this one, and it's unfortunate. I'm sure a lot more people nowadays are aware of the game than those who were aware of it in '92, but it really is, in my opinion, one of the best titles the Game Boy has to offer. Definitely worth checking out if you never have. Now, it appears many people do prefer the Game Boy version over the arcade due to the changes that were made with difficulty and some gameplay tweaks, making it like a lot more accessible and fun. So the premise of the game is fairly interesting. You play as the ghost of a man who was murdered trying to stop some gangsters from kidnapping his girlfriend. So the girlfriend's dad is a paranormal researcher. So the gangsters obviously knew this and wanted to kidnap the girl to entice her father to work with them by holding her ransom. Like they wanted that research, right? But that kind of backfires as the father summons your spirit back and you're able to possess people. So you're now tasked with saving the daughter and taking down this criminal organization. This premise may sound amazing or not to you. I mean, the story isn't the most fleshed out thing ever, but it sets the premise to the game well. The gameplay and mechanics of this game are extremely well executed. Floating around as a ghost, you can take over any enemy you see on the screen. And every character that you play as plays vastly different than any other. Your attacks, your speed, how you jump, damage you deal, life total, all different depending on the character. The way your attacks land, like different weapons you have, it is fairly interesting. This mechanic really sets this game apart from other platforming action games. Finding out how enemies control and like who fits your playstyle the best or who's the best to use to take on that level's boss is a huge part of the fun, in my opinion. So while you're in spirit form, your ghost energy depletes, so you have to find a host pretty quick, right? If you go through walls or floors, it depletes quicker, just uses up that energy. And when playing as a possessed character, damage you take will slowly deplete your ghost energy as well as your life total for that possessed character. Now that's how you get a game over, by completely depleting your ghost energy. Now you could instantly kill a possessed character if you press select, so you could jump into another body if you find something better. Like certain levels I found, like, specific characters make it a lot easier to get through the stage or to defeat the boss type of thing. Like this isn't your basic like go from left to right. Like you do go up and down, kind of a little exploration in a way. Like you're looking for keys in some of the stages, like that's a part of it. Like there's 3 keys total, but yeah, you're going through different levels of the stage. There's elevators and stuff. it's not basic by any means. So the gameplay is smooth, it's varied, and for being a 2-button Game Boy game, this one really shines in my opinion. The bosses all have their distinct attacks, and like I said, some characters you may find easier to use against them, you know, fighting against them. I found the bosses fairly interesting, like, you know, they all, like I said, very distinct attacks and movements and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun fighting against these guys. Now, my only real problem with the game is that it's fairly short. But being a Game Boy game and a port of an arcade game, that's fairly understandable. It was not meant to be a, you know, 40 to 50 hour type of game. It's an arcade style game in handheld form. So yeah, I do highly recommend checking this one out. Now, if you're a collector of physical cartridges, and maybe this is the first time you're hearing about this, or you've been looking for the game, in its original release, it is getting fairly pricey. Like, loose copies are going from anywhere like around $150 to $200. It's just kind of nuts, man. And, you know, if you're a fan of the Retrobit re-releases, they did just announce their first Game Boy release will be this game, Avenging Spirit. So that may be something you're interested in. So they're charging $45, and for that you get an official licensed cartridge in a hardcover numbered box with a glow-in-the-dark cartridge and full-color manual. All the artwork is based off of the far superior Japanese style instead of the Dick Tracy-looking, you know, US box art, so that's a plus. Now, the pre-orders are open and run through May 31st to July 3rd, and should ship, from what I've seen with the press release, Q4 2022, somewhere around there. Links to the pre-order are down below if you're interested. I just found this game, like, I didn't want to just talk about, like, hey, Retrobit announced a new pre-order type of thing. Like, I really wanted to talk about this game because I was aware of it and have played it in the past, and I always thought this was like a really, you know, interesting Game Boy game that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and it's definitely worth playing one way or another. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've played the arcade version, I've played the Game Boy version, and I do tend to agree I like the Game Boy version a lot better than the arcade. It is a smooth playing game. There's a couple instances from playing through it where there may be a little bit of slowdown when there's too many characters on screen at once, but it's not like overly dramatic to where you can't play the game, where it just pulls you out of it. But it does happen occasionally. I mean, it's a game from the 90s, you know what I'm saying? It's just the way it was. Limitations of the hardware, but it is a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. Really do appreciate you guys watching my video today. Catch you on the next one. Bye.